When his wife's dementia became so bad that she asked him who he was, forgot simple things like how to get out of a car, Bernhard and his wife joined their first Jineng Qigong retreat. Being a scientist by profession and seeing a full recovery within just 5 months of a disease where Western medicine says there is no cure, he asked himself, how is this possible? Here are the answers he found. My name is Torsten Lüdecke, and this is the Wisdom Qigong podcast.
Our guest today will also feature in the upcoming online course, Heal Your Brain and Nervous System. If this is of interest to you, please find the link in the show notes.
Today I've got Bernhard Karasch with me. Bernhard is a scientist in Germany. He's actually a scientist in microbiology and biochemistry. And Bernhard and his wife had an incredible healing success with disease that is, according to Western medicine, uncurable. And we're going to talk today about this experience and how it links to the ideas of science and Jineng Qigong. So Bernhard, welcome to the show. Just give us and let's start with this experience you had with the dementia. So please give us an idea of what happened with your wife and what you did to resolve that, please.
Okay, first, hello to all of you listening and viewing this podcast. Now to your question, Torsten. 2017, my wife showed different changes in her behavior, in her cognitive abilities and movements, and at least the diagnosis was frontotemporal dementia. This means, from the view of the Western medicine, no chance to stop or even to push the disease back. So it was clear for me that we will lose our contact. Sometimes she already was not able to recognize me, and she asked me then, "Who are you?" And this was a terrifying and shocking moment for me. So I looked very desperate for a solution to help her, and at least as a chance, I got in contact with Jineng Qigong, and so we traveled to a retreat in Dali, 2017, and then the unbelievable happens. During the retreat, she starts to recover, won back the control over her cognitive and motoric abilities, and 5 months later, she was fully recovered. And so it's clear for me as a scientist, I want to know how this happened. And so I started to research Qi as an energy using quantum mechanics and other things. And more and more, I got the idea that we have two important factors which has a huge healing power. That's Qi as an energy, and energy is information. And within Qi, the attractors or rules for the universe, as well as normal situation like biochemistry, etc., are already written in. So we have since the beginning of the universe also the idea that we can develop, or life can develop, and also the healing. And normally, when we are not disturbing the system with unnatural eating, stress, and so at least modern life, then we have not such problems in getting disease. But we have, and so we have to look, everyone at least, to be sheltered from diseases, or when the disease is appearing that we can at least heal us. And this is the second we can, with it, I call it healing will. It has a scientific name and is already accepted at universities. It's a long name now. It's a psycho, neuro, immuno-endocrinological coupling. That means what we are thinking is transported to nerve signals, neuro, and to strengthening or weakening the immune system as well as the hormone system. And these things together with Qi, it triggers the abilities of our body. And we have 14 main abilities to repair our body and to renew as well as to heal our body. And so at least we have a switch bringing us to healing, or vice versa. Of course, if you are thinking negative and you are suffering with stress, etc., this coupling can lead to diseases. It's no secret that 85% of all diseases has a psychosomatic origin. So we can reverse this in changing our thinking and our behavior, lifestyle. Then we can initiate the recovery and at least the healing. And this is in rough and short words what I'm doing now actively.
So to put it in very simple words, what you're saying is, and what we know, is that the body has an inherent ability to heal. And
Exactly.
the body responds to our mind by our thoughts, and whatever the thoughts are, the body responds to it. So if we have thoughts that are destructive, the body will create all these diseases. But the good news in it is that if we change our thought patterns and give the right signals, we can also reverse and activate all the healing. Even in cases where Western medicine says, sorry, there's nothing we can do and this is not curable, right?
Yeah.
Like in the example of your wife, where within just 5 months she came from a state that was really scary, or must have been very scary, to a place of perfect health.
Exactly.
So that's I think it's great to hear that from your mouth, because you've looked into it from a scientific point of view, and you explained earlier to me that there are two kinds of peoples on this planet. The ones that you said that find it easy to understand that and believe in that, so they automatically follow and get the healing. And then there are the people that that would just look at the Western medication and say, well, I think I need pills, or I need a doctor to do something to me in order to heal. But it's not true, and you're trying to reach these people as well and say, look, this is science based, what is happening here. You might call it miracle healing, but actually it's a very simple scientific concept behind that. Is it fair to say that? Yes.
Yes, definitely. A very good brief summary you gave, and especially the point with psychosomatic diseases. If we have to account 85% of all diseases only in let me say the spirit, the thinking, because the others are genetically or by an infection or an accident, that means traumatic. So at least all others diseases are produced by our lifestyle and our thinking. And if we could change this, we have the best chance to not only to recover, but also to increase our life quality, because mainly people are only talking about diseases. But if you continue, for example, Shineng Qigong practice, then you increase your lifestyle, your resilience, it will raise, and so on and so on. So you are even more happy and could also stay in fitness and wellness from the mind and from the body. So and this also should be mentioned, Shineng Qigong or other things like Ayurveda and so on are also improving the life quality.
Right.
And the protection, of course,
yes,
against diseases.
Now, that's a very important point, because most of us get to Shineng Qigong because we have a serious health problem and we are looking for a solution. But this is great, but the contribution Shineng Qigong can do to a healthy, happy person is incredible, because it's also about, you call it life quality, but if it's about how we go through life, how much we appreciate and enjoy every single day. That is what counts at the end, and it's not just these diseases that are obviously very serious and where we need to do something, but the body response and our whole energy response to whatever is going on up there, right?
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
We have a way you can discover Qigong. So at the Shineng Qigong Students Hub, we know that understanding Qigong is very important. And also that Shineng Qigong in itself has various nuances that people can't easily comprehend. So we've approached it in the style of a video game. On this page, Discover Qigong, you can select your character. So you can either be a beginner, a practitioner, or a holistic healer or self-healer. And you click on your character and it takes you to these different sections. In these sections, you can explore the nuances. And when you click on a card, all of the resources pop up, and we've made it really fun, and not many people know about it. So if you are interested, have a look and discover Qigong.
I'm curious because a lot of the listeners here will probably listen because they have someone in their close family or friends that is suffering from a similar disease like dementia or any other, brain-related malfunctioning. Can you explore a little more what you did exactly, or what you and your wife did exactly, so that you came to this relatively fast healing?
Yes, I can. But first, a bad point for it. The person who are suffering about dementia disease has still to have the self-awareness, because the psychoneuro and so on is not good working or not working if you have no self-awareness, no will, which you can formulate. And so if there's then only the possibility with Qi, but external, that means that, for example, teachers or Qi healers are making the treatment, but this is very time consuming then. But if there's still self-awareness and the person is convinced to trust Qi or Shineng Qigong and also their own body and mind, then just practice Qi already open close is very successful. What, in my opinion, also is important to make some visualization first in form of a picture, let me say, a healthy, artful picture of the brain where all is running quite well, clean and very active. And the second is, of course, to draw a picture to the future, to the milestone the people have, so that all the things, also the subconscious, is focusing on this. So all the energy, thinking, and also the power and partly the discipline for making 1 or more hours Shineng Qigong every day could be very helpful. And of course, winning back the love to life, the love to partners, friends, and so on. So this is a full system which you need to be supported.
Right. So basically, what you're doing there is you're reinforcing the message by creating a clear vision for how you would like your future to be, how
Yeah,
wonderful it's
yeah.
going to be, how your healthy brain will look like. So this
Hmm.
is all something that reinforces the messaging and basically tells the body, wow, yeah, this guy is serious about healing. There is an important. It's important to get there, and he's got a clear idea of what this looks like. And then you're using simple methods. You mentioned La Chi. Is a simple method
Yeah,
in
yeah, of
essence.
course.
Yeah, but and when you talk about, yeah, you need to also spend time with it. I think the main reason why you need to do it is because during your exercise you're completely focused on the vision of health. While
Yeah,
if you're just doing it 15 minutes and then you're back to your everyday works, your
yeah,
mind wanders into other directions rather than giving, the clear and clean instruction. I'm healthy now. I'm healthy now.
yeah,
Right? Right?
yes.
Okay. So I think it's not just the exercise as such that is important, but the exercise also disciplines and creates a mindset that is so supportive and does this neuroimmunology, this long
Yeah.
thing that you just mentioned, or called healing will. I think that was your short word of it. Yes.
Yeah, yeah,
Right.
exactly. Yeah. This can be
Right.
described in this way. And especially Xineng Qigong, it's not the manual things. So at least this was also my observation, especially uh, with my wife. She was not able to sit. So she was in a very
Bending over.
discomfort
Mm.
sitting as chair or location, and so she couldn't really exact follow the motoric things of Xineng Qigong. But
Right.
I discovered this is not important. We have had a person who was a Tai Chi and also Qigong teacher. And for example, he thought he is safe with cancer, etc. But he got a brain tumor. And then he asked me why. I'm a teacher, I did it. And at least I discovered that he was focusing on the exact movements. So
Right.
he left at least the healing perspective on his side, just
Yeah.
focusing that he make the movements exact. So the movements are not to think. But if you, for example, put your brain between your palms,
Hmm.
and if you make open, then you have to visualize that your brain is getting greater and greater. And with
Hmm.
the close, you are sending chi in all
Hmm.
directions to your brain image, and that it is clean now. This is more
Hmm.
important, and it's not important how you are. At least manage the things manually.
Yeah.
Just always working with uh, your brain, and also with the meditation you have in Xineng Qigong, you are switching on, that's called epigenetics, a lot of, let me say, positive or health supporting genes, and you are switching off the opposite genes. So at least already with getting in a calm state, you have a huge impacts or effects on your body chemistry and body control.
Yes. I mean, that is another a very important subject that you're touching on when you talk about epigenetics. I mean, I'm not a scientist myself, but what I understand is that science these days has broadly accepted that the genes we have are the genes we have, but which genes is switched on and which is switched off is through our thinking, and we have a control over that. Because earlier you said that 85% of diseases are caused through our
Psychosomatic
psychosomatic,
origin,
right?
yeah.
And the rest are, among others, genetic. But even the genetic means it's not hopeless because which genes are switched on and off is still something that we can control.
Yeah,
So yeah, so with all of this coming together, I think it's just so important that we understand that our mindset and how we go through the
yeah,
world is creating everything in our lives. And
Exactly.
and it might be painful sometimes because it's also creating the stuff that we don't want. To take responsibility and say, well, somewhere, somehow, no, not intentionally, I've created that. And if I have, that is good news because it means I can also reverse it and I can change it and
Yeah.
I can create something else. And I think that is the powerful message here. And it's always wonderful to have someone to talk to who has a personal experience of that. And so I'm very happy about what you guys have created for yourself, your wife, your family, your environment, your friends. And it's great, to have that on the show, so people can see this is not just something you read in books, but this is something that's actually happening in real life. No?
Yeah. I follow to 100%.
So if somebody is in a situation like that and they have a dementia or something similar, what would be your advice? What would you say? Okay, first thing, that's what you need to know or need to do.
Immediately starting and learning Qineng Qigong with a teacher or a retreat, and then practicing the things. And of course, I think if it's not too much, I can give support if anyone has a question concerning this. And also when our book will be published, first in German, but later English and other languages, and there's a lot of understanding of the mechanisms of our body and how to trigger, activate, and boost these mechanisms. And also, especially for this point of dementia, we have a lot of advices. And so, but anyway, if there are additional questions, specific ones, I hope that I can help, and I want to help. So that's not the problem.
So concretely, what you're doing right now, after the healing success of your wife, you said, okay, I'm a scientist. I want to know exactly what has happened here from a scientific basis, right? And that's what you have explored. And this is what you're putting into a book at the moment so that everybody else can read up about it and learn from it and get inspired, right?
Yeah,
okay.
Exactly.
Can you explore that a little bit more? What this book is going to be about and what the essence is going to be?
So the asset is first to understand that the Western medicine has a lot of problems. I only mention one. They are not really healing. They are fighting against symptoms. But the origin of these symptoms is not cured, nothing, and normally not. So, and then we explain 14 main mechanisms our body has. I only can give one number. When we are young, we are replacing every day billions of cells. That means cells are degraded, at least killed, degraded, and new cells from stem cells arrive. So we at least have statistically every 3 years a new body.
Right.
And so already from this, you can see what unbelievable power our body has. And for example, cancer is one of the easiest things our body can heal. For example, there we have had no experience about this, but my wife has had also 2008 a breast cancer. And the only thing she did next to the treatment of the Western medicine, because we didn't know that there are some other abilities, but she was able to remove a 2.5 centimeter in diameter tumor with 3 months, just or mainly by she got the point where the cancer is located. She could feel it with the fingers. And then she told her body, and there's something wrong in this place, please solve the problem.
Right.
And this she did repeatedly with every walk, enjoying the nature, but also giving the body or the immune system, in this case, the order to solve this problem. So at least to dissolute the cancer. And now it's clear, for example, also for childs, they were told to make a kind of meditation and to increase the natural killer cells. It's a special unit in the immune system. And after this, it was proven with blood and with blood investigation that they improved. Just in thinking that they are improving this, they improved at least raised the number of these cells. And it's just another example how powerful our thinking is, so that we also have a total control about our immune system. And cancer normally is detected by the immune system and eliminated in early stages. But when you are living under stressy conditions or you are unhappy, etc., then you are lowering the power of the immune system, and then cancer can appear and also bringing a devastating effect on the whole body at least. But as again stated, what can be produced with, let's say, bad attitude can be changed or reversed with a good attitude. And so it's only knowing that and then also converting the life.
I think the example that you gave when you said, okay, simply by imagining that the number of killer cells or whatever cells that were in your body, in the immune system would raise, simply by thinking that, giving that instruction, you could measure that the number of cells have actually risen. We are sitting here and think, wow, but it is actually so natural because it's our mind that controls. If I want to raise my right arm, my mind will give the order, raise your right arm, and miracles happen. My right arm rises, right? So we don't think this is a miracle. We think this is normal. But if we can do it with the arm, why shouldn't we be able to do it with our cells and with our immune system? It's just so. I don't know why people think this is so incredible, because we do it all the time. We give directions to our body and the body responds. So if we give a direction to the liver or to the heart, it will respond as well. There's nothing weird about this concept. It's just that somehow we think, yes, for some things like raising my arm, it's easy, but for other things like raising the number of blood cells, it's difficult. No, it isn't. It's the same thing. We give the instructions and the body responds. Easy. And it's especially if you make it a little bit more mystic, then you are saying you have a thought. The thought is without matter. It's just energy, but you can control matter. That means your arm, your muscles, and so on, with just thinking. So we normally are thinking mechanistically. That means we have to lift a stone by other thing, but it's still the beginning is the thought or the will to raise the stone up. And so this is also, this can not be treated now, but Qi as itself is, from a quantum mechanical view, connecting all. So that means we, a stone, a tree, the planet, cosmic dust, and other things are connected. And within this space, which connects all, there is energy fields. For example, the 0 point energy of the vacuum, it's a quantum mechanical term, at least. But energy always has information. And at the beginning, I mentioned that already in the universe, for the natural constants we have, this is all stored in the vacuum. And the vacuum is also the vacuum between the nucleus and the electrons, because 99%
99.9999% is space. Also in the atom, also we. So at least we are vacuum beings. And the other thing is, which is also important, I just mentioned it, we are to 99.8% of energy, because we have quarks in the nucleus, which keep the nucleus together. And this is the energy of 99.8%. Only 0.2% we are matter, but this means we are energy beings. And this also means energy, we have at least waves. Waves you can get in resonance. You can communicate with energy, at least also between our relationships. We definitely feel immediately this is a good person or it's not interesting for me, etc. So we are always in response with information and energy. And for this, just to give a first idea of she is also energy, has the rules of the construction of the universe. It's like a chess game where the rules you can have different moves, but the rules are determining how chess can be played.
Right.
And that's the same for us and for the universe. So also, if you combine now she and the long word starting with psycho, then you have the best combination to influence your body in a good or also bad way. And so if we use it, or everyone who uses it has a relative good chance to live a very happy, nice, and content life. And if a disease should appear, then you also can use this to fight or to heal this disease. So at least it's not a miracle. It's can be explained with scientific and on a medical way, and at least we should celebrate that we have these opportunities for us and our loved friends and family.
I think these are the perfect and wonderful closing words, because it's a beautiful message we have here to everyone out there. And I would like to thank you very much, Bernhard, for this podcast. And
You're
I'd like
welcome.
to take you on again, when your book is actually available, so that we can talk a little bit more about the essence there and give people a possibility to benefit from your experiences. And for those of you that are listening right now, once right after this episode is published, you're also going to be part of a workshop next week, organized in cooperation with Teacher Wei, and people can find all the details on our website here of this Chinen Qigong Students Hub. They can register here if they're interested. And so I'm glad you will stick around. I'm glad people can benefit from your knowledge and from your studies and from your research and from your personal experience. So let me thank you once again, Bernhard, and I'll hope to see you on the show once again very soon.
We will, Thorsten. We will.
We trust you enjoyed this conversation, and we invite you to subscribe to our podcast so we can stay in touch and notify you of future episodes. We will end today's episode with the 8 verses meditation performed by Chinen Qigong teacher Katrin Hendricks. Enjoy.
Yin yang bu qi
To get your free ebook on the 8 Verses meditation, please check the show notes below.